Welcome back to Grumpy Crocodile Gaming. I am here once again with Matt.
Hello.
Who is freshly back from the UKGE.
Knackered.
I've just finished editing and uploading the Rogue Trader retrospective, which was fun. It took forever to do. And nearly, I would say, like 14 hours of solid editing.
Nice.
Absolutely ridiculous. So it's up there. People can listen to it. I did warn people that for the first half hour we were just delivering about fucking heavy metal and shit. So it's like I put on it a back to Rogue Trader count. So every time I say back to Rogue Trader, I just put a little picture up with like the count, and I think it got up to 5. But how's you, man? You all good?
Tired.
Survived the weekend.
Yeah. I've got a bit of an itchy leg where I've got a blister on it from standing around for like 4 days, talking to people. Slightly croaky throat. Just generally knackered from sleeping in some crappy cheapo hotel bed. But yeah,
I'm still fucking ill, right. Basically. Still ill. Just can't shake it. Get behind me, Father Nurgle. No, hang on, that's not going to work.
Better than Slanesh.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Nurgle.
Well, maybe.
Nurgle is well and truly. I mean, Kirsty's got it worse, to be fair. Kirsty's just like she is just a plague bearer at the moment, to be honest.
She's a nurse.
She is, yeah, but she's off work at the moment because she had surgery on her foot. So yeah, no, I would have gone to UKGE, but my days of being able to tolerate that amount of people for that long are long over.
Mate, the Tuesday was Tuesday. Jesus
Tuesday?
Christ.
Hang on, what?
I'm tired. Yeah, the Saturday was Ramo. It was absolutely Ramo. Like Hall 1, where we were, it's not too bad because the walkways are reasonably spaced. You know, you can if people stop and look at shit and they've got backpacks on and stuff, it's a bit of a goddamn.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad. Hall 2, where all the stands are just fucking crammed in, it was like a dude-strewn hellscape up there on the Saturday. It was fucking Ramo. Like, it was literally like...
I can't put up with it.
No, it was like turn sideways, still can't get through. Like, you just have to stop and wait for some mouth breather to stop gawping at something and then get out of the way.
I remember when I was working for War Cradle, and they're like, because obviously War Cradle is Wayland, and they were like, it's pretty much required that you work Salute and UKGE. And I got out of it because it is pretty much required. Like, even the managers go down there and fucking like chip in and stuff, you know. Like,
yeah,
if you I saw Chris. Toby's their operations manager.
Is Chris the chap from
Chris Pond is the studio head of War Cradle.
A blonde chap.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he's a nice guy. I bump into.
Used to be chubby, now not chubby. Lost loads of weight.
Maybe he looks quite trim.
Yeah,
he's a very nice chap.
He might put it on. I've not been at War Cradle for a long time, to be fair. And he does take frequent trips out to America, so that would, the land of plenty. Yeah, no, I got out of it because, as I say, it was basically mandated that you would work these days. And I said, look, if you want me at my least professional, the most murderous, then by all means I'll go and work there. If you don't want somebody to tank your company in 5 seconds flat from basically killing somebody on the floor, then you should probably leave me at home. So I stayed back and did some marketing work or something remotely. My days of going to those, I think, are over unless they invent stronger sedatives that would leave me still able to walk and potentially talk to people, because I'd love to. Seriously, I'd love to go around UKGE and chat to people and see all the new projects and stuff like that. But unless I was to maybe try and do it on the quietest day before everybody turns up, kind of thing, it'd
be either the Friday or the Sunday.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could hack it, to be honest. I think it would go pear-shaped very, very quickly. But obviously you're more fortitude than me, so you were doing all right, and you had a good time, yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like, I don't mind doing it. Like, I don't get paid. It's like Adam he is Artefact Games, unlike his old company where the responsibilities were unfortunately shared with someone else who didn't do a great job.
Yeah, Grimlord. That went pear-shaped as well. Pineapple shaped, in actual fact.
That's another story for another time. I think
Yes.
I will definitely have to run any of that discussion past Adam first, because that's kind of literally his business.
I think it's best left, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and like last year at the UKGE, because it's just me and him that go, and I help him out. We sat and had a good chat, and we went over a whole load of behind the scenes stuff there, and I actually got to find out how that situation all panned out, and I was proper gutted for him. But that's definitely not within the scope of this.
Because you got some grief last year, didn't you? Obviously, from people that couldn't, that were grieved by
only
Grimlord. Did you have anything
Only
this
on
year?
his Kickstarter, we never had anyone come up to us in person and give us trouble.
Okay, fair enough. Something at least,
which is good. I mean, to be fair, like Adam's a lovely guy, but he's got no hair. So I'm assuming that like some people are a bit like all skinhead, and then there's me who looks like a biker, and they're kind of like, between them, I don't know. But we're the nicest guys. It's like you could have come up and spoken to us about any grievances that you had with Adam's previous company, but I'm sure he would have explained the way things went down, and if people wanted to believe him, it's entirely up to them. But I mean, the details of all that situation is very much out of the scope of this particular discussion for tonight, fortunately. And because of the way the whole other thing ended, he didn't really have that much capital, so he decided to start developing what he calls dice tomes, and they're basically very nice, sturdy, card embossed like tomes, basically like books. They're magnetically clasped. You open them up, and the first thing you see is like there's a foam tray inside, and there's like a full polyhedral set of dice in there, each one's themed around a D&D class, along with what I lovingly refer to as a metal D2, which most people would probably just call a coin for
yes, I was gonna say,
for doing
like
coin flips and stuff like that. But because it's also got like the class symbol on one side and then a broken version of it on the other, you can also use it as like a character token for stuff if you don't have a miniature. But also in the foam like padding inside the thing, there's like a little recess for if you do have a miniature. And like as of September, we're also going to be doing. I say we, it's the royal we. He does all of the work. I just volunteer and help out at expos. But I wear the t-shirt as well, so I kind of get into the habit of saying we. But when Adam discusses stuff, he says I, and he is 100% correct to do so. But as of September, when the next production run's done, and like the 4 new tomes that we had on display at the weekend, and so many people wanted 2 of them in particular, and so many times I had to say, I'm really sorry, but you can only get these as like a late pledge on GameFound at the moment, because they're just going into production, and we can't sell them, because if we do, people who have actually backed them and not got them get really grumpy.
Right, yep.
And I've had that happen to myself before, and I think you have as well. Like one of the old salutes we went to, I remember you going to the Prodos stand and getting your Aliens versus Predator stuff that you didn't get from the Kickstarter that you backed, but they were selling.
Yeah, and I ended up with shitloads of extra stuff as well. They were in the end, they just did not care, because it was just, you can kind of because it got. I mean, oh Christ, that Kickstart was about 4 years. About 4 years out of
it sounded like a mess.
Out of date by then.
Yeah.
Overdue. It was awful. They absolutely screwed the pooch on that one. And one day I'll be able to go into more depth about how much. But suffice to say, they screwed it up so much they had to take down the campaign after it had been fulfilled, because Fox weren't happy. It was all stupidly late. What they promised as a collector's edition game ended up just being the retail game. Everything was well late. It went to retail first. All the expansions went to retail first, and like backers were still waiting. And in the end, they were just like, look, if we go to any conventions, then expos and stuff, then you can just get your pledge, pick up your pledge, and then that'd be it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm so sick of this, because I think I had like the base game. And that was it. I had nothing else. I multi-pledged on that as well, because I very naively thought that it was going to be amazing, and everything be absolutely perfect. The model, Prodos make very good models, but they just did not make good games. Whereas now, as Arkham Studios, with my Masters of the Universe Battlegrounds review that I did, they potentially do make good games. Potentially, it's quite promising. So, and it's by the same people. Exactly. It's 10 years too late now. So yeah, it was overdue. I went there. I got given 2 cardboard boxes full of shit. And in the end, it worked out. I got my pledges, plus like not actual shit, loads of lovely resin aliens models. I got loads extra, and in the end, because I just got so fed up with it, I sold most of the stuff and I made all the money back that I put on the Kickstarter, so it wasn't too bad. It was crazy because I backed that and I backed Battle Systems Sci-Fi Terrain at the same time. They were on at exactly the same time, and I got the Battle System stuff within 9 months, and then like 3 years later, I didn't have the alien stuff to play on it.
We were just opposite them for all of the UKGE. Like, they were just over the way. And there was a lot of banter between backwards and forwards. We went out for dinner with them and stuff.
They do good stuff.
Their Fantasy Terrain, they've just done a new game, the name of which completely escapes me, which is ironic, given that
Well, their sci-fi one was Core Space, wasn't it? So, no idea what. Yeah.
Maladum is like a fantasy one that they've just done.
Okay, no, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the Kickstarter for that. I have enough
card
games.
Terrain for that is fucking magnificent.
It is. It's just a pain in the ass to put together.
Potentially, yeah.
That's the problem. It's the only problem with battle system stuff.
Although I don't have to revise that because this is like brand new, I think.
Oh, potentially. I mean, as I say, we're talking 10 years ago now that I got this stuff, and it's good. It's good stuff. I bought more of their stuff at Salute one year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We're talking about, to be honest, so I've not done that many salutes, and that was all good stuff. I dig that out every now and again. I think it was like a shantytown type thing. Yeah, it's good stuff if you can leave it put together, because obviously because it's shantytowns, it's just a load of buildings, so you can just put it in a drawer or something as buildings, and then just get it out, put it on the mat. With this first Kickstarter, there was no mat; it was cardboard tiles. Was your ground. So those weighed a ton to start off. And then because all of the terrain was just walls and shit, like the walls, like sci-fi walls, you couldn't really leave it put together. You had to take it apart. And therein was the problem. And you could have multi-level stuff and stuff like that. But it was still, it was their first attempt at it. So, I did an interview with them.
Oh, nice.
For the Conclave of Horror again. And
they're very nice
cool blokes. But I imagine this stuff's only got better at the end of the day. But if there's one thing I do have, considering I don't play that many games,
I think their company's gone strength to strength like Battle Systems, because I think Colin's actually have to take on all his contractor staff as actual employees now. So yeah, he's
oh wow,
he's doing
nice.
Good.
That's good news. They're good blokes.
I'm glad to say. But yeah, so like I was there with like an Adam and an Artefact Games. We were selling like his dice tomes, which is kind of like his starter launch pad into gaining enough capital to actually start developing games again, because like doing games is a lot more expensive than doing dice sets.
Yeah,
there's a lot more involved. Well, it's cool. Like the fighter class was done, wizard, rogue. That was all like volume 1. With that was all we had with us last year. And the organisers of the UKGE were like, "Oh, you win the best accessory award this year," and we were like, "Oh, thanks very much." I was like, "I designed everything," and Adam was like, "Shut up."
Oh, nice.
But like, yeah, and we had mock-ups of like the volume 2 stuff, which was like cleric, barbarian, which is a weird statement, but it's got the nicest spine on the book because they're all embossed, and the spine is literally a spine, because the rest of the tome, the cover of it is like all kind of like red bits of fleshy leather all crudely stitched together, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it was a cleric, ranger, barbarian was all volume 2, and we had all those with us this year. They're all done. They finished their Kickstarters. Some drama, but it all got done. It was all sorted and backed, and it all did well above what was expected or required, which was cool. And then like we're doing volume 3, which is like in production at the moment, which was like a paladin, a necromancer, which was like my favourite tome. It looks fantastic. And that was by far the most popular one as well that people stopped and looked at, which is why I put it front centre of the 2 rows. And people were like, "I want to take this away with me now," and we were like, "Yeah, you can't really do that. Look, just go on to GameFound, do a late pledge." So it'll be really interesting when I catch up with Adam, like in a couple of days' time, to see how the pledge count has increased from pre-UKGE to post, because I think it will take quite a bump. So that was paladin, necromancer, druid, and bard. And bard was like the second favourite one, because it's got a nice purpley cover with like a silvered like treble clef kind of like all stylised on it. And so a lot of ladies that walked past was like, "Oh, that one," and a lot of the dudes that walked past was like, "Oh, necromancer." And I was like, yep, but you can't buy any of them, sorry. Well, not those 4. I think once they're done, because bizarrely they're actually fulfilling early. Like they were scheduled to fulfill for October, but it's all running ahead of schedule, so they're going to get fulfilled in like September instead, which never happens.
That's always good.
Adam, what have you done? Like, I don't want to know what you've done, but keep doing it, because early stuff's great and everyone loves it. And then once that's done, it's just going to be volume 4, which is probably going to be the last set for a while, because he's going to move on to doing another project. And that's going to be like monk, necromancer, sorcerer, which is another really nice design. But then I think after that, he's actually going to go full steam ahead into like there's two games that Adam is sort of prototyping and just doing like internal work on at the moment. Don't really want to say too much about either one, but conceptually they're very different.
Yeah,
both they are supposed to be set in the same universe, like in the same kind of fantasy setting, and one of them is kind of like the one that he's going to be bringing out fairly soon, like once the tome stuff, once all the classes are done for the tomes, it's kind of like it's going to be like a book and card based dungeon crawler to do with fallen angels and battling them. And conceptually, like I've seen the artwork for pretty much all the designs now, and I'd love to be able to share them, but I can't. And it really bugs me because some of them are great, and it's gonna look awesome. Like I've not sat down and played it yet, because he wanted to bring along like a prototype to the UKGE, but like he discussed it with like a few friends in the industry, and they were kind of like, it's probably not really going to do you any favors to bring along just like paper and tokens to show people what you're going to be doing. Yeah, so ultimately he decided against it, which was fine. You know, as I said to people, I was like, look, if you've got any more technical questions, you're going to have to wait until Adam comes back, because this weekend, like, I'm the monkey doing the work, he's the grinder. And then after saying that a few times, I was kind of like, can't really say that anymore because the context of grinder is a bit different to what it used to be. It's no longer like an autumn grinder and a monkey. Now it's like, oh no, I've said a thing. But yeah, so like I had a word with Adam and said, like, look, mate, when you've got more of that game done, are we okay to have a word with you about it for like the Grumpy Grognards thing? We'll go into details and stuff and let people find out that way. And he was like, I'd be honoured, absolutely. Fucking awesome. So when he's got more stuff done, then we can have him on this and have a good chat to him and share some of the artwork and designs and stuff like that. But what I will say is, I think off the top of my head, one of the main artists for the Everrain is working on the art, or has done the art for this new game. And if you look at the Everrain art, some of it is awesome, and it is easily on par with that. So I'm proper looking forward to it. It'll be very interesting to see what people make of it, given that there's no dice involved, which is a weird one for me.
Yeah.
So
there are some games that do away with dice. What was it? Gloomhaven has a card system rather than dice. With Gloomhaven, what happens is basically rather than rolling a dice, you draw a card. But you can change your deck of cards over time. So as you level up, you can take away more bad cards, like minus or sort of like miss cards, and add in hit cards. So that's one of the ways in which your character levels up as time goes, which is, it's pretty damn cool, to be honest. But I'm trying to think, there was another game. Oathsworn has both dice and a card system.
Didn't you get that?
Yeah, that's it. I did. Yeah, I've played it once. All like 6 massive boxes. It's very good. It's very good. It's very good. It's a 2-part game. So the first part is like in the city, and it's like a choose your own adventure. Cool. Is the only way I can really describe it. Books. Yeah, kind of. And you've got like a time limit to try and get the clues to make your game easier, if you know what I mean. And then the second part of the game is basically an encounter with a massive boss, which is a complete secret because the bosses are all in numbered boxes. And the scenario just says which one you're going to open. So our first one, for example, is a giant rat. I have no idea what the other ones are when we get around to it. So the reason it takes a little while to play is the main reason we haven't had it out more.
Games with secret envelopes and stuff. It's quite an interesting concept because I'd never seen it until I got Zombie Kids to play with Kiddo because it's a pretty straightforward game where you just move around a very simple kind of like, I think it's like a 5-room school with a couple of outside bits, and you've basically got the number of kids is equal to the number of people playing, and you've kind of got to move around the school and chain up the 4 external gates whilst defeating zombies and not getting like overrun or eaten. Basically, that's kind of cool. When you complete levels in the book, there's like little challenges that you can do. And it's kind of like a defeat 3 zombies in one space while doing this, or blah, blah, blah. And if you complete those, you kind of get to, it says, you've completed this challenge, go and open envelope B or something. You open up envelope B and there'll be like a new card in there, which you can use for your character, or stickers for abilities and stuff, which you can stick into the rule book, and it gives you like new abilities for your character as a level up. So that was a very cool. And they did like a follow-up called Zombie Teens, Zombie Kids and Zombie Teens Evo. So if you've got kids, I recommend those. They're pretty cool. They're not too complicated, and they're quite engaging.
Honestly, they should have just called it. Gen Z. Hire me for your marketing, guys. I come up with great names for things.
Oh, that reminds me. There was a bunch of people at the store on Saturday, and there was a nice lady, and she was kind of like looking at the tomes that we had out, and she was kind of pouring at the white cleric one with the goldy kind of star motif on the front, and she was like, I play a cleric, so I really should get this one. And I was like, you're in luck. We have those with us today. And then she kind of went, but I really love this barbarian one. Because, I'd picked it up and offered her the spine to stroke. And every single person, except for one fucking Mizog, that I offered the book to, and they stroked the spine, went, ooh. And it was like American Psycho. They're like, it's embossed. And I'm like, yes, all of the books are embossed. Feel the front covers. And they were like, oh. And it's like, yes. She was like, but I really like this Barbarian one. And I was like, to be fair, like the Barbarian was my old favourite until I clapped eyes on the Necromancer one. But if you still want to get this Barbarian book, perhaps you should forget that it's for barbarians. And in fact, if you would be interested in this book for your flesh cleric instead. And she was like, oh. And her boyfriend was like, oh, that's a good one. And I was like, yeah, it is. I should probably copyright that if it's not already done. And I was like, yes, this is clearly a book for a flesh cleric such as yourself. And she was like, I might have to get it. And I was like, my work here is done. I don't really have to do any hard sells or anything like that because I like to think the work's good enough to the work's good enough to just sell itself.
The best way to sell something is to stick it in somebody's hands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why retail will never really die out. Online has a massive effect against it, especially for certain things, but the tactile experience will always be there because, once you pick something up, it's much harder to put it down. That's why when I worked at GW, we were just told to put the product in somebody's hands.
Yep. I mean, it works for most things. Not privates, you get in trouble for that, but like actual stuff that you can, you're allowed to purchase.
I mean, to be fair, if you're selling your genitals, then presumably putting them in somebody's hands or in the vicinity of the other person is part of it. So I mean,
I'd imagine so, but
it still applies. By then, I imagine money has been well and truly changed.
I was about to say,
it's not quite the same thing.
I don't have experience in that area myself, but I would imagine that someone's probably already paid if it's gone to that stage.
You would think so, yeah, certainly. I would imagine Amsterdam is, sort of.
I've never been
the authority on that.
Yeah, I've never been. I've heard many stories from different people, and I'm just like, I don't think it's quite my bag.
I much preferred Eindhoven personally. I used to go to Eindhoven before I went to
for Dynamo
Graspop. So it's just across the border, the border in Dessel.
Nice, that's right.
So I used to fly out to Eindhoven, crash there, hit the cannabis cafe called the Pink. For some reason,
probably for the eye.
Potentially, it was crazy because I remember the first time I went there, and obviously this might have been the first time I'd been overseas, certainly on my own.
Oh, okay.
And I went into the local pub because they had like a guest house which we stayed, or where I stayed because I was on my own. And then I went down to the pub and I just went up to the very, very attractive, nice barmaid. And I was like, excuse me, like best British voice. Excuse me, don't know where I could buy some cannabis. You want to buy some weed, yeah? Everybody at the bar is just like, oh. And then she gave me directions just around the corner. So it's fucking brilliant.
It looks like another bloody tourist.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she was most amused. But yeah, once you get in there, you have to show your passport for some reason. I don't know why. But I had to show passport, and then they've got two menus. One menu is the drinks,
and the other one's the cannabis menu.
Menu's the cannabis. One side's pre-rolled, and one side's
loosed.
Yeah, bags. Yeah, baggies. Yeah, baggies. So just stocked up for the festival, and then
despite the fact I've got dreadlocks down to my bum, it's not my bag. No pun intended.
No, I've not done weed for a long time, but I went through in my mid-20s.
I think a lot of people do in the alternative scene, or at least they did.
Shall I say younger than that? Was late teens. Yeah, late teens.
They did when we were that age anyway.
All the time. Sounds like UKGE was good. Any decent projects or stuff noticed that might be good?
Let me see. Let's go through my notes here.
I know there's Xeogenesis, whatever it's called.
Xeogenesis looks very interesting. Like even now, I've been working from home all day. I still haven't had a chance to look at any rules for it, and they're freely available online. I just haven't had the fucking chance.
Are they?
Yes.
Because they were just playtesters. I don't know if they've actually done the full rules.
I mean,
yet.
It is playtesting rules. I think it's still in that state, but that's like the closest you're going to get. Like they did give me a flyer,
which is fine, but they were locked behind. Well, not locked behind, but they were basically.
I'll get them, don't worry.
They were basically only for play testers, which kind of makes sense. But it was basically a case of if you want to play test it, then you need to
sign up.
No, you need to be part of a gaming group.
Oh, okay.
So you had to actually play test them and come back.
I see what you mean. I'll have a look myself. I haven't had a chance yet.
It looks like that's still the case.
Yeah.
It's not like Trench Crusade where they've just got the rules on
online.
there. And you can just click on them, download the PDF, and have a butcher's.
Yeah.
This was a bit different because otherwise I would have done it because obviously I want to have a chat with the creators behind this at some point when they're ready to launch it and everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I might set up a Grumpy Crocodile gaming email. That might be an idea.
Do it.
And then I could use that for all of the official Because we've got over. I'll have you know, Matt, we have over 500 subscribers now.
Oh, 5% ultimate power, and then a bit more.
Hit it.
Nice. Thanks very much, everyone.
So, indeed. So, yeah, we're as far as I'm concerned, that's a milestone. I have no idea what the monetizing level is. I think it's 1,000 subscribers, so a long way away from that. But I'm very happy with 500 subscribers.
Well, we don't really do it for the money, do we? We just do it because lol.
No, yeah, just do it because
we just blither anyway.
We like subjecting misery on people, I guess. You know, and if those people choose to listen to us, then that's up to them.
I think the weirdest thing to come out of doing this whole thing is now that I no longer detest the sound of my own voice. I'm just used to it now, and I never ever thought that'd be a thing. I
still do. I cringe. I mean,
do you test my voice?
No, my voice.
Oh, fair enough.
So the Rogue Trader retrospective that I've just uploaded, I've listened to that now, not all the way through, but I've listened to chunks of it or various bits and pieces, probably about 20 times, going through the editing process because I did it on Audacity, and then I do a run just for like mic clips and stuff, and then I do a run for actually cutting down some content, you know, because there's just too much there basically. Or we repeat stuff, or taking out ums and ahs and stuff like that. So by the time I was finished with it, I was just, oh my god, I've listened to it so many times. But I've got to say, I still found it entertaining, even though it's like, oh my god, I've listened to this about 20 times. So hopefully the other people do too. But I still don't like the way my voice sounds, because it doesn't sound anything like I imagine it to sound.
No, but what the fuck was it? There was a guy on YouTube called Thoughty2, and he's like a little nerdy looking fellow countryman, one of ours. I think he's a bit northern. He does really interesting videos to do with like science and slightly weird stuff. And apparently people's voices don't sound how they expect them to when they hear them played back. Not just because when you talk you hear your voice basically from inside the chamber, isn't it? Yeah. From the outside. But it also sounds weird because apparently when people talk, their internal monologue that they have when they're thinking goes along with their voice at the same time, and when you hear it recorded, obviously it doesn't have that kind of
I guess just I don't know. It's so weird because it happens so often. So often I'll hear a voice. I'll either hear a voice, because it's not just me. I'll hear a voice, and then I'll see what that person looks like, and I'll be like, "You literally look nothing like I imagine you to sound. Like look from your voice," or I'll see a picture of somebody.
Yeah, I think my voice should be deeper
and I'll have
from what I look
a voice
like.
in my mind. And then you'll hear them and you'll be like, no, what the hell? So, but obviously over time you become attuned to these things, and it makes sense. But quite often, for me, it's the same thing as when you first meet, I don't know, like a new lady friend or something like that. And the way they sound to you when you're first getting to know them, as opposed to when you've been with them for, I don't know, any number of years.
Are you talking about in normal discussion, or are you talking about like in
normal
bed?
Discussion? We're not talking about sexy dirty talk, but just in general, like you get used to their intonations, you get used to their mannerisms and any phrases they might use. So it's just completely different. I can see why you asked. No bedtime secrets here. That's Grumpy Grognard aiming after dark only for Patreons. Yeah, no. Yeah, Xeogenesis is definitely one that I want to look at, and I'm going to keep my eye out for any others. Steamforged just bought War Machine.
Yeah, apparently
which,
so.
I think is basically the death knell for Privateer Press as they are. I always said they were going to go bust because they've been doing badly for a long time.
That's a shame because we like their paint.
Well, I've got some good news for you. Along with Steamforged taking on War Machine, they have confirmed that they are also taking on the P3 paint line and will be making it available.
Nice. You can get that black that you wanted.
Coal black, yes. So, so that's coming back. I don't know when or what form. I do have a contact inside Steamforged Games, so I might have a word and see if I can find out anything that's not particularly secretive at the moment. But, I mean, War Machine will continue in some form. The problem about War Machine is that it requires a massive injection of capital to bring it up to date with current companies. They don't have the capital. They're left releasing 8-man infantry units that cost 50 quid in metal,
Jeez.
So until they can get around, which is why they went down the 3D printed route, so they were selling 3D prints.
Yeah.
But obviously I don't know how that's worked for them. But yeah, Privateer Press has been struggling for a long time. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that they'd been or not the company's been bought, but their IP has been bought, which obviously will give them a cash injection, and maybe they could do something with that, or some kind of partnership or something like that. Yeah, it was kind of inevitable. It was like Warlord Games. Warlord Games is 30% owned by Hornby.
Oh, nice. They'll be doing combat trains soon then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you start getting the artillery trains for the bolt action. And talking about Warlord Games, Andy Chambers has just taken over Conflict 47.
Yes. Because I had a chat with Lord Chambers himself. I hopefully managed not to make myself look like a fanboy twat.
You hope so.
Generally by not talking as much as I wanted to, and I think that kind of filtered out anything that I probably shouldn't have said.
Hello, Mr. Chambers.
Yeah.
You're my very favouriteest from the design team. Can I have your autograph? Sign my face.
No. So fortunately, there was none of that. Like on a Friday, I did get breaks from being on the stand. So Adam's not awful.
Adam's not quite a slave driver.
No, there may have been no chairs because he says that he gives a bad impression if you're sitting down doing stuff when people turn up and they want to talk to you and buy stuff, and I get that. But
I understand, but make the chairs available for like maybe a little bit. Fucking hell, standing up for 8 hours is a long. Well, more than 8 hours. It's a long time, dude.
I mean, to be fair, there's rest areas where you can go. You go and sit down places.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it because I've got the plantar fasciitis. Well, something wrong with my feet. So I wouldn't be able to stand for that long. Bad enough when I'm standing for 2 hours during a gig. You see me hopping from side to side.
Yeah, shuffling from foot to foot. There was a lot of that. By Sunday afternoon, I was not keeping still at all. There was a lot of shuffling around and standing on one foot and then the other foot. And then one foot, and then the other foot. But I did get to go for wanders and check stuff out and get stuff and see people and whatnot. Cool. So I braved Hall 2, which wasn't too bad on the Friday, and went up to I finally found the Geogenesis stand because our mate Ruski said, go and speak to my mates Andy and Gav and tell them I said hello. And I was like, okay, I've no idea who they are. I don't know what Geogenesis is because I don't have a finger on the pulse of stuff that's generally not Games Workshop. So I'll go and have a gander. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll go and see him and I'll say hello for you then. You know, you've done us a solid. I'll return the favour. Mm-hmm. So I sort of wandered up there, and I found like the stall like on a corner by like the big shutter doors into like Hall 3. And I'm standing there looking like the miniatures and stuff, and I'm like, this all looks actually rather good. This is splendid. And then I've sort of tracked around with my face and I'm using my eyes, and I was like, okay, well, I won't talk to them too much at the moment because they're talking to Jordan Sorcery. So I'll leave them to that. So I think he was having a demo, and I was like, you know what, that Gav looks weirdly familiar, but I'll need to head back now because I don't want to hang around here because it's a bit weird and I've got stuff to be doing and other things to see, and I'll just cycle back later on. And so halfway back to the store, I was like, Howard's Gav Thorpe. I've not seen any pictures of Gav Thorpe since he was at Games Workshop. So now, over 10 years later, he looks a bit different. But
he had like long hair and no beard back then.
Yes. And now he's got like the short hair and a big beard. Well, it's long anyway. And I was like, good Lord, that was Gav Thorpe. So I thought I probably should actually look into this game for when I go back up there next. Then I was like, OMG. Andy Chambers. I was like, oh, fuck my life.
You didn't know it was Gav Thorpe and Andy Chambers?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm like, he only did most of my favourite work like when he was at Games Workshop, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to try very hard not to fuck this up. So I wandered back a bit later on, and I spoke to their artist whose name completely escapes me. That was it.
Oh, it's Dan something, isn't it? I've got to be honest, he's the only one that I don't know who
and he was a thoroughly nice chap, and I fielded some questions and stuff, and he kind of went over some of the design cues and whatnot. And then I actually got to speak to Gav because Andy wasn't there. He was only there on the Saturday, so he wasn't there on the Friday. And I spoke to Gav, and he was also a very nice chap. And I kind of said, mate, nice one for all your work and stuff that you did, at GW. And he was like, yeah, well, I left there 16 years ago. And I was like, sorry, say that again? And he was like, yeah. And he goes, I left there 16 years ago, but I still wrote for the Black Library. And I'm like, now it makes more sense. Thank you for clarifying that. I thought my brain was capsizing for a moment, and I'd lost a whole bunch of years somewhere.
Yeah, I don't actually know that he wrote while working there.
I don't know.
Or before Black Library. I'm not sure. Because I'm thinking like his really early books, like Last Chances and stuff like that.
I think it was more codexes that he probably did some lore and fiction for, and then he kind of moved up to Black Library.
Yeah, potentially. Because I mainly remember him being involved with second and third edition. That's what I remember
Yeah, I think that's what he said. Like he said, like the last thing I did there was third, and I was like, third.
That is a long time.
That was a while ago. But no, I got speaking to him, and and obviously we
because he did Inquisitor, didn't he?
Workshop.
Sure, he did Inquisitor.
I don't know.
The game, I mean.
I don't know. Yeah, I know the large scale one, like the 52, I think scale, whatever it was. He was a good chap. I said, like, I see you've got like infantry models, and then you've got kind of like larger models, and then you've got even larger ones. And he was like, yeah, he said there's actually a scale above these guys as well. So when it comes to like I can't remember the fucking name for him now, Zeo something.
Zeo Genesis.
Like,
reminds me of
that's the name of the game.
Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I'm pretty sure
it does.
It's nodding to at the very least.
Oh yeah, I think the large robots in it are called Zeos.
Okay.
Which is where the name comes from. Someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm old and I'm frazzled, to be frank, at the moment. And he was like, yeah. So basically, there's like smaller ones, there's medium ones, which are the biggest ones that we've got in the case, and there's also ones that are slightly larger than those Zeos, and they are actually like the focus of the game. And the infantry support them. And I was like, oh, so it's kind of conceptually, it's a bit like Titanicus, where you kind of have the Titans as the focal point, and then you bring along knights to support them. And he was like, he goes, I've not actually played the new Titanicus. Or was it Andy that said that? I don't know. But he said, like, this plays quite differently. It's a lot more fluid. But basically, yeah. So, like, you choose your big models to bring along, and then you bring along, like, the little guys to help them out. So, obviously, like, the little guys aren't really going to be too much of a threat head-on to the larger models, but they can, can flank them and slap bombs and stuff on them and whatnot, in which case you've made a boo-boo and something horrible is going to happen. So that was cool. But I didn't have the time to sit down and go through, like, an actual demo on either day.
That's a shame.
That I visited their thing. Yeah. Which did suck, but he kind of said it's set 10,000 years in the future. The Earth is gone. Like mankind's kind of colonized. Like I think it's like 10 different.
So that actually
systems,
sounds quite Gundamish, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit. And then he said, and then they kind of encountered like an energy barrier, which stops them from progressing any further, apart from a handful of key areas where there's kind of like a gateway that they can get through, and no one knows whether it's kind of like a barrier to keep humanity contained, or if it's to keep something else away from them, from us, or whatever. It's like no one knows because it was there when they turned up. And basically, at the moment, we said when they launch the game, there's going to be two human factions, and one of them is kind of going to be like the hegemony, who kind of are like all humans should be united. Everything that you've got belongs to us for the greater good. We're going to take all your shit because we know what to do with it.
And the other one's going to be like separatists.
The other side is going to be. Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like, fuck no, get your thieving imperialist hands.
So it's like a bit of Battletech in there. So it's like a sort of cross between Neon Genesis Well, I can't say I hear any Neon Genesis Evangelion in there, but obviously giant mechs, Gundam and Battletech to me. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Any idea when they're thinking of launching it?
I think it's probably going to go to Kickstarter later this year. I think it is. I'm not sure when. And I kind of said to like both Gav and Andy, I was like, "Are we okay to get you on and talk?" And they said, "We'll talk to anyone." And I was like, "Doesn't make me feel special. But thank you very much."
It's not.
But Gav was kind of like, "I want to kind of go light on the details for this until we're in the proper run up to like a launch campaign."
Yeah, that's understandable.
A whole bunch of marketing.
I mean, I've jumped on the website and
I was like, "Yeah, no problem."
Is minimal to say the least. Like the last update on their news section was Adepticon 23 was good, clean fun. So I'm like, interesting.
Yeah. Well, they were at the UKGE and they were very much kicking and alive. So I think they're
in the very early stages of doing anything, and obviously not gearing up fully yet. But no, we'll grab them for a chat, and then we'll get hold of them again when the game comes out, because it looks like fun to me.
Yeah. It does. It looks very good. Like I've literally just signed up to the Discord now, and I've chucked you an invite, and the rules are on that. We'll get those. And they said they'll do like a launch box and stuff like that. But you'll be very pleased to know that they will be kind of like swerving, updating hard copy rules, and all their rules and stuff will be like either digital or app based. So you just get free updates for it.
Splendid.
There's no fucking about.
That's the way to go. I mean,
Yeah. I'm not too sure where their stance will be with models and stuff, but at the moment where there's playtesting, I think they're okay with like people 3D printing stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think do we even know the scale for it yet or anything. So it's, as I say, it's early days. I'm happy to let those guys just do what they need to do, and yeah, we'll catch up at some point. It looks like fun. So
yeah,
I'm not being funny. I have faith in those chaps and their pedigree. Gav Thorpe has designed games. Gav Thorpe did Judge Dredd for Warlord.
Oh, nice. I mean, he's the narrative lead on the project, so I don't know how much input into the actual game he's going to have. But I think he's kind of doing more the lore side of things.
But, yeah, that should be good. Should be good. Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, and I revisited them on the Saturday when I had the chance, and it took me about half an hour to get from our stand, getting from our stand along the back wall and then up the stairs to Hall 2 was fucking easy. Getting from the stairs at Hall 2 over to those guys was an absolute nightmare. Apparently, like the UKGE, they sold 10,000 tickets more than last year.
Holy shit.
Felt like it as well. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's too big for me.
It was mental. Yeah, you would have hated it. But like I got to them and I was having a good chat with Andy Chambers. But most of it was to do with actual old Games Workshop stuff. Didn't really mention like Xenogenesis that much. But then a peculiar-looking northern fellow rocked up next to me and monopolised the conversation for the next 20 minutes, much to my dismay. And I was too polite to tell him to fuck off. And then I kind of like just had like a final bit of catching up with Andy and just said like, look, mate, thanks very much for everything you did like with GW, because I thoroughly enjoyed the amount of care, logic and attention that you put into all of your stuff. And he was kind of like, well, yeah, because when some of the first jobs that they put me on when I started at Games Workshop was looking at gaming stuff from the top down, so you kind of have to zoom out and look at the logistics of how things work for battlefronts and deploying things and operations and stuff like that. So when I went onto the design studio proper and started looking at things to do with 40k and lore and coming up with stuff for the Tau, especially because I mentioned them, he kind of said it was just natural for me to make sure that I did lore in a way that made a lot of sense. So, and because I said to him, like, I was really, really pleased with the way that you wrote the Tau, because absolutely everything that they've got fits into a Manta, or can deploy in an Orca, or can drop from low orbit under its own power because it's either a skimmer or it's got a jetpack. And he was like, yes, 100% intentional. And he was like, yeah. And then I kind of left before they started fucking with that. And I was like, I'm glad you did, because that kind of integrity when it comes to that sort of overview or oversight of how stuff works, no longer there.
If he'd stayed, it wouldn't have happened. But yeah, I don't think he would have stayed with what GW were planning on doing, basically.
No. And I kind of said to him, like, look, obviously the way that GW went as they became more and more corporate over time, corporations work on making a profit, obviously. So, you want to shift more models. You want people to put more models on the table per game. And when you do that, one, you need to come up with new stuff. And two, you need to justify that in the law. And three, you need to simplify the rules as you do so that it doesn't take all fucking weekend to play a normal game, because complicated rules and a lot of models is a bad combo.
Yeah, no, second edition at 2,000 points would take a day.
Yeah. So see what I mean?
It would take a day.
Yeah. And he was kind of like, yeah. He goes, I kind of saw a lot of that coming, which kind of influenced my decision to bail. And I was like, well, I'm sad that you did, because the integrity that you brought to everything that you did was highly noticeable and much appreciated. Two, I'm kind of happy that you did, because I thoroughly enjoyed the work that you did with Blizzard on StarCraft 2. And suddenly the adaptable Zerg made a lot more sense, Mr. Lord Tyrannid, sir. And he sort of laughed and was like, well, yeah, because, I knew what I was doing by that point. And I was like, yes, you did. Very good. So it's cool. Like, and he's happy to have a chat with us as well at some point.
Splendid. As I say, I interviewed him before the conclave. We just talked about all sorts of shit. We talked about his early days. Talked about what he thinks of DW now. He will not. He won't comment. He will comment in a very diplomatic way.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a gentleman. He will not slag off his old bosses.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of not wanting to burn bridges, because I don't really think he'll go back to Games Workshop.
I don't think he cares about it. I think he's just not that kind of dude.
No, it's just the principle of it, isn't it? Like, you spent a lot of years there.
He's a professional. He's a professional. At the end of the day, he still designs games for people. He's still in with a lot of those people. I imagine he still potentially knows quite a lot of people within GW and stuff. And yeah, it's just not, not that I was really trying to bait him into such, but we were talking about it and I was just saying how much it's changed and everything. He was just like, yeah, it was a different time. Yeah, no, I look forward to having another chat with him. I'll sort some happen soon. We'll sort out a way to record it that potentially isn't what happened last time, because the interview with Thomas Pirinen was, oh God, not the interview itself. Absolutely fantastic. But wonderful time.
Technology around it.
Cracking bloke. Yeah, I mean, the problem was, did it on Microsoft Teams and it only recorded his audio.
Oh, no.
So thankfully, I had the foresight to set up a recording device, also known as a phone, in front of my PC speakers.
Old school.
And record that as well. Old school, exactly. So all I had to do was sort of like sync it up.
Yeah, splice the two together.
And then cut out all of his dialogue from the speakers, because obviously it was overwriting the stuff that he was saying, and then as you say, splice the two together. So that was interesting. So that took longer than it should. I'd rather have something easier to do next time round.
Yeah, we'll look into sorting something out.
I didn't have my tech guy, Matt. You're off being social with family and stuff.
Yeah, apologies.
Absolutely disgraceful. It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, it sounds like fun. As I say, not something I can do, but I mean, yeah, I was hoping that there might be a channel that's done like a catch up. But it doesn't seem to be, although it obviously, as you say, was very popular and everything, it doesn't seem to be as high profile.
What, you mean the UKGE?
Yeah, the UKGE.
Oh yeah, I mean it's funny you say that. Like, I think it might have been the Saturday. I got back to my hotel room and got onto YouTube just to see what was going on. I just happened to see Liam Dempsey. He's
Liam Dempsey, yeah.
He was live.
And Joe.
Yeah, he was live. And I hollered at him, because they literally walked past our stand while Adam was away, and I clocked it was them, because Liam's quite distinctive, especially with his arm toes, and I was like, Liam, and he's turned around looking thoroughly confused, and I was like, I fully expected to see that expression, mate. You've no idea who I am. I'm one of your Thane level backers, which in hindsight was a fib. I'm actually a Jarl. I'm not a Thane at all. Which is slightly lower, but my memory's shit. So, and I was like, yeah, it's nice to see you out and about. It's slightly surreal to see people that I've only seen on YouTube, like actually in person, wandering around. But then you are normal people after all, so you're going to be at stuff like this. And he and Joe actually stopped and chatted with me for about 10 minutes or so, which was really cool of him, given that, he didn't have a clue who I was. And and I actually commented.
He will. Yeah, he will.
And I actually commented on his live stream and said, thanks very much for stopping by. That was really cool.
Yeah, I've mentioned it was as GGG before. Yeah. I normally jump on and say something. I'm normally grumpy.
Yeah, I mentioned us, and he was like, yeah, I know who you are. And I was like, good Lord. People know.
He's like a proper YouTuber, man.
Yeah, he is.
Like a studio and everything.
Yeah, he graduated from his own garage into a proper studio somewhere else that's not his house. So yeah, he's doing really good, as is deserved. I think he's principled and he knows what he's doing. So
yeah, he does fine work. Yeah, I've got to admit, I don't watch his I watch his streams quite often. I don't watch his game reports. And not watched them recently, but the problem I always had in the past is where he used to just play it in his garage. Very much just watching two people play.
Yeah.
And I never got an idea of how the game was going. Not like Winters, where he takes you through everything. He doesn't show you everything. Quite often he cuts things. You absolutely know how the game is going with Winters.
Yeah, because he'll cut out a lot of the faffing, and then he'll just kind of give like a very brief update, and then show like key events of the game. Like he edits a lot afterwards. Whereas live streaming,
yes, he does a lot of editing work afterwards. Yeah. Which, considering he films it all on a bloody iPhone, is like, well, yeah, it's very impressive. Winters, you're doing good stuff. Yeah. With Liam, it was a lot of banter and a lot of talking to the chat and stuff.
Yes,
and it was that's live. Fine, that's fun, but I'd have no idea what was going on with the game.
Oh, yeah, I think
not a clue.
Stuff's live stream, which is fair enough. I think that works for him.
Yeah,
works for the.
So I don't know if he's done that anything differently now that he's in a studio. No, it's good. Yeah, I like Liam stuff.
So I
like the fact that he can call GW cunts and apparently they still like him. That's nice.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think he's fair about it though, a bit like we are. Speaking of GW, one thing that he mentioned on his stream, and something that I pointed out to you very early in the day, like on Thursday when we got
they weren't there.
No Games Workshop there whatsoever. And considering last year they had a massive presence, they were running like an escape room type thing out in the lobby. They had like the Leviathan launch stuff there out on tables, which is where I first got to see it.
Yeah, I got to admit, I would have expected to have seen Scaventide there, so I am surprised by that.
Exactly what I expected to see, but nope, not a dicky. And considering they usually take
cost
up
cutting, I imagine.
Maybe, but then they kind of take up like almost 20% of the floor space of the Hall 1 by themselves, like front center as soon as you walk in. That's very odd.
Wayland Games probably made up for that.
No, Wayland Games were still up on Hall 2, where they usually are.
Okay.
But they had a fair footprint.
Yeah,
as
maybe it was cost cutting. That's all I can think of. Maybe they just figured that they weren't going to get back. They'd rather do something that they can control.
Yeah, I mean, we actually mentioned this to Lord Chambers while I was talking to him, and he basically said my take on it is that they don't need to bother. Because the UK is just basically a sewn-up market. Like, what more can they gain?
Yeah, no, I agree. So they'd rather put the attention into Adepticon and stuff like that.
So they just focus on the other ones instead, which is a pisser for us.
I mean, I've always said that GW basically markets itself.
Yeah.
To a great. They're so good at it now that they can just put something up, and they don't really have to put any effort into it, to be honest.
No, and it's just going to do well anyway.
The community will hype it forward. Got your Val racks and all your stuff like that. That will just give it that much exposure. The same comes to anybody that
I didn't see Valrack
sells Games Workshop stuff. I said to Wayland, you don't really have to sell it. You just say you've got it.
Yeah.
And you've got it cheaper than GW, and people will buy it off you.
Come,
and the same comes to everybody else, like Element and Goblin Games and all that kind of stuff. GW it sells itself at this stage, provided they don't make stupid decisions with regards to what products they release or how they release them. It will continue to market itself. So they obviously just feel they didn't need to. Why spend the money that that would cost a UKGE presence when you don't need that expenditure to raise revenue? And they used to sell stuff at these things as well, and they obviously got sick of that as well. So,
but given that AOS 4th is literally in progress, I was quite shocked. I thought it would have been a great thing. I would have thought you would have seen. I would have thought they would have had hands on for the box at the very least. Yes, but no, nothing. Not even a stand. There was not even a hint.
Not even a stand.
The only Games Workshop stuff that was there was getting sold by everyone else.
Yes, yeah.
But
bit strange.
Yeah, I didn't see Valrack or hear him.
I was going to say you would have heard it first. I'm sure.
Sorry, mate.
Like saying that it's not one of his streams, so maybe you.
No, I don't know. Yeah, but I didn't see him. I did bump into Mira Manga, and she was absolutely lovely to talk to. She was really cool.
Okay, she's the one who does the Arbiter Ian.
She is, yeah. She does the book club stuff with Arbiter Ian. So she was really cool, and she was on the hobby therapy stand for a little bit on the Saturday. I caught her. I was hoping to catch Ian as well because I quite like his lore videos. He knows his stuff, but he was nowhere to be seen.
Okay.
But I spoke to her for a bit, which was great. But yeah, I don't really think I bumped into anyone else.
Did you buy any stuff? Did you have time to do any shopping?
Yeah. The Free League stand was good because they do good RPGs. I'm not too sure what they did in their early days, but clearly they did something right, and they've got licenses to all sorts of really cool stuff now. So they do Mork Borg, which is kind of a good proper off the wall metal punky inspired RPG. They do Alien. They got the Alien license, so they do all the RPGs for Alien and Aliens as well.
Modifius?
No, Free League.
Okay. I thought Modifius used to have it, but
I'm not sure if they still do. But Free League still was selling the Alien RPG core book and all the expansions for it, and there was quite a few.
Okay. Yeah,
and most of them had gone by the Sunday, so they're doing well.
Doing all right then. Yeah.
I picked up 2 expansion books for Vessen, which is a Swedish kind of horror RPG, which is illustrated by an awesome chap called Johan Egerkrans, and he's done some art books which I'd noticed before I'd seen him do the art for the RPG. I think he's done a book on the undead and Norse gods, and he's got a very distinctive art style, which is very, very good. So I picked those 2. Not that I actually run RPGs or anything like that. I mean, it's a possibility for the future. So that was cool. I bought a child a giant Totoro, big plushy thing, because the wife was like, I said, I want to get Tia something, and the wife was like, no, she's got too many plushies as it is, don't get her any of that. And I was like, okay. I went and found the biggest one I could find and hid him on our stand for all of Saturday and Sunday and got her that, and she was just like, oh. But the child loved it, so that was cool. Speaking of finding things in our stand, one thing that I probably should mention, just because it proper made me laugh, for the UKGE, it's a 2.5 hour drive up to Birmingham from here in Essex with a stop for food and stuff, not including the unexpected stop that we had to do because someone in a white Transit drove into the back of Adam's car on the way up there. But fortunately, everything in the car was fine, including us, and the boot still opened. Otherwise, I'm not sure what we would have done, front loading and loading the car. Never mind any of that. But we got there and you pull up to kind of the side of the hall where you've got your stand. Unfortunately, we were right near the back wall by the hall one shop and drop. So it was literally just a case of park the car, pop the boot, do a couple of trips backwards and forwards to load in the shit to the footprint of where our stall was, and then once that's done, like Adam took the car off to the proper car park so someone else could come in and load in instead, and then I started setting stuff up, and then he turned up and we got all the shit done. And Adam was expecting some guy to come along and drop off a couple of big display boxes. They're kind of not, well, cubes, company branded big cubes for putting stuff on. Basically, like almost
like display plinths.
Like almost a meter cubed, like each side. And the guy couldn't give him a time of when he was turning up. So Adam was like, you know what, fuck this, we need to go and get some dinner. So let's just go. And the guy can just drop them off, and then we'll sort it all out tomorrow. We'll get it slightly earlier tomorrow. We'll sort out any displays and stuff that's still outstanding. Most of the stock's done, and then we'll sort it out in the morning. Went to the hotel. Found the hotel in the first place, and then got your room, sort of left at 7:30 so that we'd have a decent amount of time, like 15-20 minutes maybe, to get to like the NEC from where we were. Parked up, did like the half-mile walk, like from the car park to the place. Walked in through the main entrance to Hall 1, walked all the way along the main walkway that led up to right where our corner was, and like Adam's just stopped dead, staring at these two fucking massive 900mm cubed blocks with the Artefact Games sandy coloured branding on them. And he's literally stopped dead and he's gone, they're fucking white. And I was like,
they're not meant to be.
Like, oh shit. Like, our backdrop is black with a sandy logo.
So that means you'll stand out more.
Yeah, and our kind of like side wall that we'd put up, which was our old backdrop for the smaller stand that we had last year, was black. Like tan logo, all the sheeting on the tables and stuff is black. Our t-shirts are black, tan logo, and these two fucking things were two big meter cubed bright white blocks with like Artefact Games in them on like a kind of sandy colour. And he was like, fuck, I was kind of thought they'd have been black. I didn't bother telling him because I thought he'd have seen our branding that I showed him and it'd be black. And I was like, no, it's a bit late to do much about it now. We'll just set shit up on them, and I'll walk off. I'll come back and I'll see how it looks. And sort of like he started setting up like tomes on them, and I wandered off, and I came back and I was like, you know what? Because they're branded, it actually looks okay because everything here is black except for those, and so people who are walking up here are naturally going to be drawn straight to them, and they'll look at stuff that's on them. And it actually worked. Like a number of times, people were sitting there and looking at the sealed, cellophaned up items that we were selling, like arranged on the things and like the dice packs and stuff. And I was kind of like, sir, why are you looking at those when you should be looking at these over here, gesturing to the table on the other side of the stand? And they were like, oh! And then they'd wander over and have a proper look. So, I mean, that was funny. It's like anecdotal, but it kind of worked in our favour, I think. But the good thing is, where they were cubes, the sides kind of velcroed on. They were all connected, except for one of them, which was just basically velcroed on. So you could open it up and stash stuff inside it. So
right, yep.
So that was pretty cool.
I might try and go next year. I don't know yet. If I can get a chaperone of some description.
Yeah, alas, it won't be me. I'll be working with Adam again.
No, you'll be busy working. Yeah. That's fine. I want to work.
You can have one with Mike.
I want to work.
Mike went. Mike and my mate and our mate Northern Pete went. So it was nice to see them.
Yeah. I know a few people who went.
I mean, to be fair, we've done
we'll see. Maybe I'll try and get there next year.
We've done festivals. I've never seen you get out of hand yet. So I think
festivals are totally different, dude. I don't know why.
Outdoors, maybe. Don't know. Metal.
I'll go squirrely a little bit. I think it's because I've got the music to focus on.
Oh, maybe.
Because there's a focal point there.
Yeah.
So I can kind of ignore the chattering going on around
distraction
me.
From the people.
Because there's music. There's music playing.
That was another thing. I was standing there with Adam in a quiet moment. I think it was on the Sunday. Oh no, it was the Friday. And there's just a weird kind of background sound, like in the halls at the UKGE. Like part of it's like aircon, and part of it's just 1,000 voices all murmuring together, and it just kind of becomes like this big background murmur. And I was like, Adam, mate, do you hear that? And he was like, hear what? And I was like, that sound in the background. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you know what that is? And he started looking at me funny. He was like, what? And I was like, opportunity. Pass me the big ears and the tooth sharpener. And he was like, have you gone a bit Ferengi? And I was like,
Profit.
I was like, weirdly, yes. Every single voice that I can hear in this murmur may walk past and may want to buy some stuff. And he was just like, I think you're being a bit optimistic there, mate. And I was like, Yeah, probably. But it just popped into my head, and I thought it'd be funny to share it.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I can't stand is the murmur of lots and lots of voices, because I can hear all of them at the same time individually,
It's overwhelming,
and it's absolutely overwhelming. It's like when I'm in a pub, I pretty much can't go to a busy pub now. Yeah, and that's just for half an hour to an hour at a pub. An actual day, something like UKGE or SLU or something like that may well be beyond me, but I'd like to. So maybe next year.
I'd definitely try SLU first because it's smaller.
I've been to SLU. I've done SLU, and it is smaller.
Yeah,
it is. I think I've done 2 salutes in total. I didn't find salute that good.
No,
unless you're into historical wargaming.
Yeah, I never really liked it either.
If I'm being completely honest, at least UKGE tends to have like loads of board games.
There's loads of different stuff there.
There's all sorts of different
games.
stuff.
Like I was walking around, and there's like games about owning a dog. There's games about brewing alcohol. There's games about making instruments like luthiers, and I was like, what the fuck? Like people buy this stuff.
Thing has just absolutely exploded as a creative thing.
I mean, it's great, but it's mad.
Decade maybe.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can make a game out of anything. So UKG I'd like to do, because as I say, you get board games there, all sorts of stuff like that.
There's no Cool Mini or not at UKG either.
That's unusual.
As far as I know, I didn't see any, and Adam even commented and said I haven't seen them, and I was like, I ain't got a clue. I didn't see them at all. Then I don't really look for them because I'm done with Zombicide. Like it all seems to be just variations on the same thing, and
we've got so many board games.
I am validated by the amount of games I have.
Some have not been played.
It's like my Steam library.
Some have only been played once. Exactly. It's like most people's Steam's libraries, and including actually mine too. 90% of my Steam library's not played. I've not played anything on my PC since we played Total War Warhammer.
No,
I just can't. I mean, if I do any gaming, I play on my Switch.
Yeah, it works.
I've been playing through the Sniper Elite games on my Switch because I can do it. If I'm on the PC, I'm normally editing YouTube or something like that. Randomness. Yeah, that sounds like UKG was good. I'll try and get to a future one.
Yeah, like I got home at.
I think what we'll do then is
evening. Apart from that, it was fine.
We'll call the episode there, and we'll spend the next hour discussing what future videos we can come up with. Because it was like I was still editing the Rogue Trader thing, and I was like, this is still not going to be done for a few days yet. But I know what happens if you don't put a video up once per week. YouTube just basically goes, fuck you, you forget your channel exists. Exactly, yeah. So I just did this like 5-minute Space Marine Warhammer piss takes video, which is very easy to do because it's just like, that's a crap deal, that's a crap deal, that's a crap deal. Rant about it a little bit.
I saw that.
Record,
like,
minimal editing.
I was like, no, don't put piss take in the title. I was like, oh god, Alan, there's no decorum, as my mum would have said.
I did it with dollar signs.
I know you did.
Yeah, sneaky. YouTube will not get me for that. Honestly, I didn't know if that get captured by YouTube because it's that piss take. It's a very British thing.
It's a very British thing. It was more the Princess
so I have no idea if YouTube would get upset. I have no idea if YouTube would get upset about it or not. But no, it's not like GW are going to hire me anyway. But no, I literally went on there going like, I'm just going to do 5. I'm going to pick 5 things because there's loads of them. And I was just looking at the Marines. I was like, no, I could just do 5 per faction easily.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do those, and there's some other stuff I want to do, which we will chat about in a minute. So we'll end this here. It sounds like UKG was fun. Yeah. Obviously, you'll be back next year.
Yep.
I might try and visit next year.
Oh.
Heavily sedated. But not so much I just start drooling to people when I talk to them.
Weirdly, next year, apparently, someone else has outbid the UK Games Expo for the Birmingham NEC Hall number 1 for the next 2 years running.
Ooh.
So it's all going to get shunted round to halls 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, so still at the NEC, it's just going to be bumped back.
There's like 20 halls there, like it's fucking massive. But like in the main building, I think there's maybe 5 or 6. I don't know. I've not wandered around the whole thing.
Okay.
But hall 3 at the UKGE is usually reserved for lots of table seating for people that want to sit down and eat or play games and stuff like that. So it's not a massive loss as long as they plan out accordingly and don't make it all fucking cramped like Hall 2 gets.
Yeah, it'll be more of a shuffle than anything, won't it?
So that'll be interesting.
That should be interesting.
See who's done that. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that should be interesting. Cool. Okay. Well, we'll cut the video there then, and we'll chat about some video ideas I've got. Guys, sign off down below. We didn't actually talk about much apart from the UKGE and obviously Privateer Press, but it's just a
catch up.
Just a catch up, innit? Just a catch up, and
like tomato sauce.
The next big thing we work on will probably be intermedium between Rogue Trader and 2nd edition, with a load of silly little videos in between.
Yeah, all the different manuals.
Rogue Trader video does well. It is at the end of the day just 2 grognards just chatting about it. So presumably we can't upset people too much with that one.
Apart from when we say temp is shit, Rogue Trader was better, and then all the ultra competitive people are like, oh no, how dare you.
I'm not sure we actually. I do actually want to do a video, a deep dive. Actually, it is one thing I do want to do about whether or not how GW's focus on competitive gaming has ruined the game.
Well, it's vastly simplified the game, so that's ruined it for us.
I do want to take on some point. I think it's ruined it for everybody. To be honest, I think the experience is, unless you're one of those people who wants to just get close to 100 points as possible and sweep your opponent's army into a bucket. I don't think there's a lot there for anybody now, to be honest. No. You even get people like big YouTube channels turning around saying, look, this is a bit shit, it needs changing, it needs fixing. They did do something recently by releasing a new mission pack this weekend, if I remember correctly, that looks to be helpful, but GW, people should not be spending more money to fix your fucking game, basically.
It's really weird. Like, at this UKGE, I really felt it. It's like, I can walk past the stall, I can see Warhammer 40,000 stuff there, loads and loads of it, and I have absolutely no impulse to stand and look at it and see what they've got whatsoever. And it kind of makes me sad.
None of it was Horus Heresy.
Yeah, well, there's some heresy stuff there, but I don't need any more heresy until they start doing more new stuff.
Mechanicum.
Yeah.
Coming soon, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be...
Not this week, because this week's stupid Gene Stealers and Gene Stealers and Sororitas, yes. But yeah, maybe. But to be fair, the way my wallet is at the moment, hopefully not anytime in the next month, but yeah, no, my luck will be next week. We'll see what happens. All right, dude. We'll let go there. Hope you enjoyed yourself, guys. I'll probably have to edit those out of this video as well, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks for listening to us blithering.
Yay, blithering! Bye.